We now come to Prime Minister's questions. Lincoln Job.
Question number one, Mr. Speaker.
Very well done.
Mr. Speaker, can I start by condemning, in the strongest possible terms, the sickening repression and murder of protesters in Iran? The contrast between the courage of the Iranian people and the brutality of their desperate regime has never been clearer. Mr. Speaker, we've called out this brutality face to face. We're working with allies on further sanctions and doing all we can to protect UK nationals. Mr. Speaker, time and again, under the party opposite, towns and cities across the north were failed. Today, this Labour government delivers change. A major new rail network across the north and a new northern growth strategy. That is the renewal that this country voted for. This morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks, particularly about Iran? Visiting schools in my Spelthorne constituency is one of the great joys of this job. So I was frankly appalled to hear that the Labour Member of Parliament for Bristol North East was prevented from visiting a school in his constituency because he is Jewish. This is anti-Semitism and it is happening in plain sight. With all due respect to the Prime Minister, I don't want to know how he feels about this. I want to know what he's going to do about it.
Prime Minister.
Can I start by thanking him for raising this case, because it is very serious, very concerning. And all members of Parliament should be able to visit anywhere in their constituency, schools or other places, without any fear of anti-Semitism. We do take this seriously. We're providing more funding for security and support we're putting in across the country, and we will be holding those to account who prevented this visit to this school.
Annalise Midgley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the Prime Minister for his commitment to delivering the Hillsborough Law. But it has been proven that following the Manchester Arena bombings, MI5 spent 6 years misleading the public and concealing information. There was no risk to national security because it was a closed hearing. So will the Prime Minister deliver justice for those families and confirm that this government will bring forward an amendment that will make robust the duties and responsibilities of candour for all parts of the state, including individuals in the security services, so we can finally say never again?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank my honourable friend? The Hillsborough Law will right wrongs of the past, changing the balance of power to ensure the state can never hide from the people it should serve. And I would like to acknowledge, Mr. Speaker, I think some of the families are in the gallery with us here today, and I will be meeting them later on this afternoon. I've always been clear the duty of candour applies to the intelligence services. I made a commitment we wouldn't water down the bill, and the amendments we put forward strengthen it. It is right that there are essential safeguards in place to protect national security, and we've got that balance right. I will meet the families and will outline the next steps on Monday in relation to that crucial balance.
We come to the Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I agree with the Prime Minister's comments on Iran? Today, Irfan Soltani faces execution for protesting in Iran, and I'm sure the whole House will be united in condemning this. Our thoughts are with him and his family and the brave protesters fighting for their freedom against an evil regime. Mr. Speaker, I know the Home Secretary will be making a statement today on the West Midlands Police. The first thing that she should be announcing is the sacking of the Chief Constable. And I thank the member for West Suffolk for relentlessly pushing this issue. Mr. Speaker, can I welcome the Prime Minister's latest U-turn? I feel like I say that every week. Mandatory digital ID was a rubbish policy, and we on this side of the House are glad to see the back of it. But yesterday, the Health Secretary said the Prime Minister's New Year's resolution should be, and I quote, to try to get it right first. To try to get it right first time. Try to get it right first time. Yes, you did say that. You did say that. My question is, does he agree?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm determined to make it harder for people to work illegally in this country, and that's why there will be checks, they will be digital, and they will be mandatory. And I'll tell her what this government is doing, whether on planning, child poverty, employment rights, investing in our NHS, we're taking the right choices for Britain, and they oppose every single one of them. And she talks about U-turns and consistency. From the party that used to recognise the challenge of climate change, and now they run from it, who promised to cut immigration, but then lost control of it, who once took great pride in our diversity, now they talk of deporting our neighbours to achieve cultural coherence. And, Mr. Speaker, on consistency, don't get me started on 5 Prime Ministers, 6 Chancellors, 8 Home Secretaries, 16 Housing Ministers. They had more positions in 14 years than the Kama Sutra. No wonder they're knackered and they left the country screwed.
Kemi Badenoch.
A lot of waffle, Mr. Speaker, but it's still a U-turn. The member for Hull East has said, it's so interesting, Mr. Speaker, Labour MPs must think very carefully before defending policy decisions publicly. He said, and I quote, "This stuff leaves us looking really stupid." I'm sorry to tell him, but Labour MPs have been looking stupid for a long time. But let's look, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let's look at some other things the Prime Minister didn't get right first time, starting with the family farms tax. Some farmers were so terrified they sold their farms last year only for the Prime Minister to U-turn 2 days before Christmas. Will he apologise for the misery he's caused countless farmers?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the principle we put in place on inheritance tax is the right one. We listened, we made an asterisk. But what we're doing is turning the country around. Yes, we've changed the country. We've changed the failed approach of the last Tory government. They crashed the economy and sent mortgage rates through the roof. They left millions stuck on NHS waiting lists. They presided over the worst Parliament for living standards on record. Now we're turning that around. We're changing that. Inflation and interest rates are coming down. Waiting lists are coming down. Wages are up more in the first year of a Labour government than 10 years of the Tory government. But I understand, Mr. Speaker, that she's taking advice on change. She had Nadeem Zahawi in to ask his advice, how to change and how to save her party. Please don't tell me she listened to his accountant. Next day after the advice, he jumped ship to reform, the 23rd former Tory MP to do so. I don't know which is more pitiful, the flood of former Tory MPs deserting her sinking ship, or the Reform Party so desperate to launder any old failed Tory politician.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister doesn't need to worry about me. I'm all right. And I didn't hear an apology. I didn't hear an apology to the farmers. Has he even apologised to the member for Penrith, who stood up for farmers only to have the whip removed? This Prime Minister treats his MPs so badly, they follow his lead and he hangs them out to dry every time. Let's turn to another area the Prime Minister has got wrong. His budget doubled business rates for thousands of pubs. So can the Prime Minister tell us, is there going to be any change to his business rates policy?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we're working with the sector to ensure that they get the support that they need. I have to say, the Leader of the Opposition's newfound concern for pubs will come as a surprise to anyone who remembers the 7,000 pubs that were closed under the Tories. And as Business Secretary, she didn't say a word about it. So we support business. We also support workers, Mr. Speaker. And that's why we passed our Employment Rights Act. And on Mr. Speaker, on Monday, the Business Secretary and I went to Croydon to discuss our Employment Rights Act with workers there. They were very keen on the paternity rights and the maternity rights, which I know the Leader of the Opposition opposes. And whilst we were there at IKEA, they showed me their new prototype, the IKEA Shadow Cabinet. The trouble is, nobody wants to buy it. It's mainly constructed of old dead wood. And every time you lose a nut, it defects to reform.
Mr. Speaker, he didn't answer the question about business rates. It sounds like he doesn't know what his policy is. And this has been a farce from start to finish. On Monday, the Business Secretary said the Chancellor did not even realise the impact of her business rates policy. No surprise there. But yesterday, the Tax Office said that they did tell the government what the impact would be. So can the Prime Minister be clear? Did he understand the impact of his own policy on pubs?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we're working with this sector. She hasn't explained why she said nothing about the 7,000 pubs that closed on her watch. We're doing other things on the cost of living to help people to make sure they can get out, to spend money in pubs and hospitality, boosting the minimum wage. What did they do? They opposed it. Freezing rail fares and prescription charges. What did they do? They opposed it. £150 off energy bills. What did they do? They opposed it. She said nothing when pubs were closing, and she opposes every measure now. And she said a moment ago, I'm all right. She clearly didn't listen to the advice of Nadeem Zahawi, because what he told her, he's now made fun of it. He told her that they failed on mass migration, they failed on our armed forces, and he told her that she's leading, his words, a defunct brand the nation can no longer trust. No wonder he's joined the Tory migration to reform. Mr. Speaker, it's the second Boris wave.
Mr. Speaker, I asked him if he understood the impact of his own policy. He didn't say yes. The reason he U-turns all the time is because he is clueless. He is blowing around like a plastic bag in the wind, no sense of direction whatsoever. And let's be clear, Mr. Speaker, this mess goes beyond pubs. The whole of the hospitality industry, cafes, hotels, restaurants, they're all being clobbered by Labour's tax hikes. There is an answer to this. Conservatives would abolish business rates for small businesses on the high street. Mr. Speaker, yes, they're all chuntering. He's already agreeing with us on family farms tax. He's already agreeing with us on digital ID. Why doesn't he make it a hat trick and abolish business rates for the high street?
Mr. Speaker, they crashed the economy, and now they want to give lectures. She's wondering why nobody's listening to them. Nobody is ever going to listen to them on the economy ever again. Mr. Speaker, in 18 months, because of the decisions we've made, inflation is falling, and the Bank of England say it's coming back down to target. We've had 6 interest rate cuts in a row. Wages are up more in the first year of a Labour government than under the first 10 years of their government, and we beat the forecasts on growth for 2025. We're turning this country around after the appalling mess that they left it in.
He says no one's going to listen to us. Who's going to listen to him? The winter fuel allowance, U-turn. Waspy women, U-turn. The 2-child benefit cap, U-turn. Grooming gangs inquiry, U-turn. The family farms tax, U-turn. Digital ID, U-turn. Jury trials? U-turn. We hope so. We hope so. I think that's going to be the next one, Mr. Speaker. Week after week, these poor people sitting behind him have to defend the indefensible, only for him to U-turn a few days later. Mr. Speaker, one of his cabinet ministers told a journalist that what's happening at the moment is extraordinarily bad. Another said we've gone through a catastrophic series of missteps. Yet another minister said, we are so unpopular at the moment, I've come to the conclusion it's worth rolling the dice on a new leader. They're right, aren't they?
Mr. Speaker, here's the difference. I changed my party, and that's why we stand here with a majority Labour government. she sits there with her party that lost 2/3 of their MPs at the last election, and she's losing more every week. They're queuing up to join the member of Clacton's laundry service for disgraced Tory politicians. Meanwhile, inflation is down, wages are up and waiting lists are down. Labour's turning the corner and changing this country for the better.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you will agree, and I hope others across the chamber will also, that we need to recognise and to celebrate achievements. And I say this because across the country, knife crime offences is going down. And of course, more needs to be done and more should be done. But this week's figures have shown that London has had its safest year ever under the London Mayor Sadiq Khan. And in fact, homicide rate in London is the lowest ever since records began. Now, Mr. Speaker, Reform and the Conservatives repeatedly talk down our capital city. So will the Prime Minister join me in saying they are wrong, and will he applaud these achievements?
Well, she draws attention to the important work of the Mayor of London, and nobody should be talking our country down or talking London down. And she's right to say that since we came into office, the number of knife crime offences is down. But, Mr. Speaker, there is more to do. We're introducing new powers to seize knives and increasing the penalty for selling knives to under 18s. And the party opposite, what did they do? They're chuntering. They voted against those provisions. And what's obvious about London and Reform is they've got a candidate for mayor who doesn't like London, a new ex-Tory recruit who struggled to pay his taxes in this country, and a leader who spends more time in France than in his constituency.
Sir Ed David, leader of the Liberal Democrat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself and my party with the Prime Minister's comments on Iran? And can I encourage him to go even further on sanctions and also prescribe the IRG? Mr. Speaker, Sandra is 71. She has bladder cancer. Just after Christmas, she went into her local A&E. She had to wait 31 hours to be admitted on a plastic trolley and in a plastic chair. Last year, more than 500,000 people waited for over 12 hours in A&E to be admitted, more than any year in the history of the NHS. Mr. Speaker, this corridor care crisis was created by the Conservatives, but it's got worse under Labour. So will the Prime Minister end this scandal by taking up our plan to end all 12-hour A&E waits this year?
Prime Minister.
Can I first say through him to Sandra that that's simply not acceptable for her or for anybody else, and I'd appreciate if he passes that on to her directly. We have put record investment into the NHS so we can turn this problem around, and we are turning it around. I would say to him that he puts forward his plans for change, but he never votes for the increase in investment and the measures that are needed to actually put that into practice. You can't change things without investing in them. You can't call for change and vote against a budget that puts a record investment into the NHS.
Sir Ed Davey.
Mr. Speaker, we saw what happened to the last government when they failed to improve the NHS, and if the Prime Minister is not careful, that will happen to his. Mr. Speaker, last month I asked the Prime Minister to get a grip of South East Water, who'd left thousands of people in Royal Tunbridge Wells without water. Now it's happened again, not only in Tunbridge Wells, but in East Grinstead, Burgess Hill, Haywers Heath, and other parts of Kent and Sussex. Families, pensioners, schools, care homes, businesses without any water since Saturday. And the water company bosses involved now stand accused of misleading Parliament over their failures. Mr. Speaker, South East Water keeps failing its customers over and over again. So will the government immediately strip them of their licence?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for raising this, because the situation is clearly totally unacceptable. And he will want to know that ministers have chaired daily emergency meetings to hold the company to account, to deliver on the change that's urgently needed at the moment in all the areas that he mentioned. We've also doubled the compensation rates for individuals and businesses, and we're absolutely clear the company must urgently invest in infrastructure, and we'll publish the Water White Paper in due course. But we are holding those daily meetings to hold this company to account.
Dr. Maria Timble.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm delighted by today's Northern Powerhouse Rail announcement. A down payment on the north of England's future. Fulfilling Lord Blunkett's rail plan for Yorkshire also included upgrades to the Penistone Line train, the spine that connects south to West Yorkshire, coursing through 8 constituencies, serving 500,000 people. When I was growing up, my dad opened Silkstone Common Station as a Dodder councillor. I want my legacy to be 2 trains an hour, Tidball, for our Penistone line. Will the Prime Minister meet with me to discuss how we can secure funding for the second phase of the Penistone Line upgrade scheme to achieve 2 services an hour?
Prime Minister.
Can I pay tribute to her as a dedicated campaigner on this and so many other issues? And I'm delighted that today we're announcing a transformation in journeys across the north. Of course, it was said and promised many times by the party opposite, but never delivered. We're taking action and delivering. We're working Kirklees Council to prepare the business case for the first phase of upgrading the line, and I know the Transport Secretary would be happy to discuss the details of that with her.
Robin Swan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. At question time last week, the Prime Minister seemed to intimate that the government was bringing forward amendments to the Northern Ireland Troubles Bill. Within hours of him saying that, the Irish Government's Minister for Foreign Affairs said that any significant changes must have the full agreement of both governments. So, Mr. Speaker, can I ask the Prime Minister, is he intending bringing forward amendments to a flawed Troubles Bill and give a reassurance that the Irish Government does not have a veto over legislation in this House?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for raising this and tell him I spoke to the Taoiseach in December about this, and I know he's committed to delivering on this. The new legacy unit has been established within the Garda, and I'm confident the Irish Government's other commitments will be delivered as set out in the joint framework. For the first time, information held by the Irish authorities is being shared with a reformed Legacy Commission, meaning more families and victims of terrorism getting information about what happened to their loved ones.
Glendon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome the Prime Minister's leadership and our government's clear commitment to tackling child poverty, recognising that high-quality education is one of the best routes out of poverty. However, young people in one of the most deprived areas of my constituency, attending Churchill Community College, have been taught in temporary accommodation for over 16 months. Can the Prime Minister use his good offices to expedite funding from the Department for Education to support rebuilding this school?
Prime Minister.
Can I say I'm very proud of what we're doing on child poverty, lifting 500,000 children out of poverty. The party opposite says their policy is to plunge them straight back into poverty, and they should be ashamed of that. The situation she draws my attention to is appalling. Parents and teachers are furious that the party opposite left schools literally crumbling. We invested, Mr. Speaker, £20 billion to rebuild around 800 schools, and our aim is all schools and colleges in England that aren't being fully or substantially rebuilt to be rack-free by the end of the Parliament, and I'll make sure a Minister meets with her to discuss this.
Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I visited Stepping Hill Hospital in my constituency, where I met the incredible team there, but they are working in some of the worst conditions. The staff there showed me the wards where sewage is coming up onto the floors through the drains, and they showed me the ceilings where water is dripping down out onto vital equipment. The hospital itself has a £130 million repair bill, and the Prime Minister is the man that can change this. So will he meet with me, the member for Hazel Grove and the member for Stockport constituency, so we can talk to him about this issue, get some investment in, and then get the hospital that my constituents deserve?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank him for raising this, and he knows we inherited a terrible situation with waiting lists, performance targets missed, and hospitals like Stepping Hill left to crumble. They should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. I'm pleased the new outpatients building is open, and because of our decisions, the local trust will receive £75 million in capital funding. Progress is being made. His local trust has seen waiting lists fall by almost 3,000. The number of waits over a year is down by 67%. I will make sure he gets the meeting that he wants to discuss the details further.
Emily Darlington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If reports are correct, Elon Musk has climbed down today under pressure from this government. And let's be clear, stripping women naked without consent in real life or online is abuse. But we don't know whether to trust what X is saying today, and this isn't just happening on X. So will the Prime Minister join me and men and women across this House and our nation to say to any app and to any AI company that we will not tolerate and we will enforce any abuse of men, women or children in this country?
Can I thank her for raising this? The actions of Grok and X are disgusting and they're shameful. And frankly, the decision to then turn this into a premium service is horrific. And we're absolutely determined to take action here. We've made it clear that X has to act, and if not, Ofcom has our full backing and will introduce and are introducing legislation. Mr. Speaker, to update the House, I have been informed this morning that X is acting to ensure full compliance with UK law. If so, that is welcome, but we're not going to back down. They must act. We will take the necessary measures, we will strengthen existing laws and prepare for legislation if it needs to go further, and Ofcom will continue its independent investigation.
As someone with a personal experience of AI-generated images, the recent AI images shared on X, particularly those of children, sickens me. Yet, the leader of Reform continues to defend Elon Musk. Anyone who defends platforms linked to sexual exploitation of children forfeits any right to give lectures about protecting women and girls. What will the Prime Minister do to stop any political party from putting tech billionaires ahead of protecting our children?
Can I thank her for raising this? And it's astonishing that Reform defend Musk on this issue. It is complete. I said the images are disgusting. Their position is disgusting on this. This is weaponising images of women and children that should never be made. And that's why we're acting. Reform refused to do anything about it. But more than that, the point she raises, they would scrap the Online Safety Act that stops children accessing content like pornography, suicide, self-harm and eating disorders. They're an absolute disgrace and know nothing about protecting children.
Can I just say, we're only on question 18. If we don't want to get MPs in, please, you're going to have to work with me. Kevin Bonavent.
Many of my constituents and Stevens were appalled to hear Reform MPs oppose the principle of deploying British troops to maintain a peace in Ukraine. Our brilliant armed forces have defended democracy in Europe across a generation, so it is shameful that the leader of Reform opposes that today. That is not leadership, it is surrender. Does the Prime Minister agree that Labour governments always have and always will defend British interests, not those of Russian dictators or oligarchs?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this is a question of values and freedom, and I'm proud of the British workers in his constituency, in fact, supporting our Ukrainian allies. Ukrainian soldiers are defending European values on the front line every day. And, Mr. Speaker, in the event of a ceasefire, multinational force will carry out defence and deterrence operations and conduct training, planning, recovery and regeneration of Ukrainian forces. But this week, the leader of Reform said Russia had had a casus belli, that means a justification for war in invading Ukraine. A Putin apologist using Russia's talking points.
Lewis Cocking.
Mr. Speaker, the world is becoming more dangerous every single day, and the Ministry of Defence has said it needs an extra £28 billion to keep us safe. Well, I know where the Prime Minister can find it. Stop this nonsense Chagos Island surrender policy and spend that money on protecting the United Kingdom. Will the Prime Minister commit to that, or will he continue to put the interests of foreign governments and countries above our own?
Diego Garcia is a vital military base with important capabilities for our own. It's integral to our security. Our decision was welcomed by our allies, the Five Eyes, India and the United States. It was opposed by our enemies, including Russia. Now we can add the Tories to that list and reform that list. The Tories following reform, reform following Putin.
Jasmine Qureshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to offer my condolences to the families of the 4 people who died in the road traffic accident which occurred over the weekend in my constituency. Mr. Speaker, families in Bolton South and Walkden are already benefiting from this Labour government's action on free school meals, free breakfast clubs, 30 hours funded childcare, scrapping of the 2-child limit, taking nearly 500,000 children out of poverty. But in Bolton South and Walkden and across the country, there is a chronic shortage of social housing and genuine affordable homes. Will the Prime Minister now show the same ambition on housing and commit to a major expansion of social housing?
Prime Minister.
Can I just say that my thoughts, and I think the thoughts of the whole House, will be with all those affected by the terrible road traffic accident in her constituency over the weekend, and our thoughts with all of those so awfully impacted. On her question, we are determined to restore the dream of home ownership. That's why there's been £39 billion of investment to deliver the biggest boost in social and affordable housing in a generation. Through planning reforms, the New Homes Accelerator and New Towns, we're determined to deliver the homes that people need.
Dr. Luke Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I welcome the Prime Minister's commitment to the violence against women and girls strategy, but I and many have concerns about stigmatising young boys, men and masculinity as inherently toxic, especially when suicide is the #1 killer for young men. So is it about time that we have a minister for men and boys? Because this is about women and men, not women or men.
Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for his support on what we're doing on violence against women and girls? Can I also agree with him that this isn't about women or men or boys or girls, it's about both. And that's why I was very pleased to bring forward our men's health strategy, one of the first of its sort, to deal with the challenges that young men in particular, in my view, have growing up, particularly with social media, but also to go further on the question of suicide. And I know that that's something that the whole House is prepared to work together on, and quite right too.
Caroline Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As trade envoy to New Zealand, last year I visited Eden Park in Auckland to hear their exciting plans to bring the Edinburgh tattoo to New Zealand. Well, next month that plan becomes a reality, and one of Scotland and the UK's greatest military displays will be taking place in Auckland. This spectacular event is testament to the exciting and successful trading relationship between the UK and New Zealand. Will the Prime Minister join me in congratulating and thanking everyone who's made this a reality?
Can I thank her for raising that? Because the Royal Edinburgh military tattoo is absolutely brilliant, as anybody who's seen it will attest. And I'm so pleased that it's heading to New Zealand, and I think it's another example of Scotland's unique contribution to our international image, our culture and tourism. And I think we all wish them the very best of luck in their performance, and I know it'll be very well received.
Timothy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The police fabricated intelligence to get Israelis banned from Villa Park, as demanded by Islamists. It's not an isolated case. Forces cut deals with dodgy mosques and refuse to arrest preachers who incite violence. The CPS uses the Public Order Act as an Islamic blasphemy law. In prison, governors do deals with Islamists to maintain order. And we all know about the rape gangs. So will the Prime Minister launch a review of the corruption of our criminal justice system by Islamists and the politics of communalism?
Prime Minister.
I disagreed, as he knows, with the decision of the West Midlands Police, and the Home Secretary will be making a statement in relation to it today. Mr. Speaker, the Home Secretary used to have power to remove Chief Constables. That power was stripped by the 2011 Police Reform Act. The honourable member knows who was making decisions in the Home Office at the time. It was him, working for Theresa May, that stripped that power away.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and a belated Happy New Year. But for the 4.8 million leaseholders across England, it's not a Happy New Year. They're going to be receiving large bills in a matter of weeks. They've been waiting patiently for us as a new government, a government that said we were going to deliver that change, to bring forward the legislation on leasehold and commonhold. So I want to ask the Prime Minister, when will we see that legislation so that we can put those leaseholders out of their misery?
Well, can I thank her for raising this really important issue, and we are bringing forward proposals very shortly now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 35,000 children, including my constituent Clover, live with uncontrolled, life-threatening epilepsy. Those who can afford it are already benefiting from prescribed medical cannabis, yet families face endless delays, confused trials, and a Home Office process designed for criminal misuse, not healthcare. Will the Prime Minister meet with me and affected families to move paediatric medical cannabis out of Home Office control, create a pathway for proper trials and NHS access, and ensure that all children with life-threatening epilepsy get the care they deserve, regardless of their family circumstances?
Can I thank you for raising the case of Clover? NHS England and the National Institute of Health and Care Research recently agreed funding for 2 world-first clinical trials relating to the use of cannabis-based products. This could help see medicines more routinely available in the NHS, and I'll make sure that she gets the meeting that she wants with the relevant minister to discuss what else we're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The people I represent are fed up with Southern Water, from sewage to broken pipes and water outages, even on Christmas Day. In November, millions of plastic beads washed up on our beaches, and we discovered they'd come from a Southern Water treatment plant. I'm now campaigning for water companies to stop using this outdated plastic bead method and bin the beads. We're really concerned about the impact on wildlife, and we have a massive clean-up operation on our hands. Over 5,000 people have already supported my campaign with Sussex Wildlife Trust. Will the Prime Minister join me in sharing his horror at this dereliction of duty from Southern Water and calling on them to face the full force of the law for this terrible pollution incident?
Can I credit her with helping expose this scandal and working with her and everyone in her community, volunteering to clean up the beaches? That is the very best of who we are. But people are right to be furious that for far too long water companies were allowed to get away with polluting our seas and beaches. The Environment Agency are leading a full investigation, but we are more generally ending unfair bonuses for polluting water bosses, abolishing Ofwat and introducing tougher penalties, holding companies to account.
Then a message ejected.
Mr. Speaker, ahead of the forthcoming consultation on local government reorganisation, last month Huntingdonshire District Council voted for option E, a Huntingdonshire Unitary Council. This was a cross-party view, and the Prime Minister's own Labour councillors voted in favour of it. There is a suspicion locally that the government favours option D, proposed by the Labour Eastern Regional Office, which would see Huntingdonshire and my constituency split in two and combined with Peterborough. Can the Prime Minister offer assurances to my constituents and those across Huntingdonshire that the decision isn't already a done deal and that the democratic will of Huntingdonshire District Council won't be overridden to satisfy an unelected Labour regional office?
Prime Minister.
There are no done deals here. We're going through the proper process.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The staff at West Herts Teaching Hospitals Trust, which operates Watford General in my constituency, have been very busy bees. They have recently won Trust of the Year and Performance Recovery at the 2025 Health Service Journal Awards. Will the Prime Minister join me in congratulating the amazing team at Watford General and thank them for all the hard work that they have done to achieve this admirable accolade? Imagine what further achievements that they will make when they have their new hospital and new facilities.
I will join him and thank the staff in his hospital, but also the NHS staff across the country who worked so hard over Christmas and New Year, which is notoriously a difficult time.
That completes Prime Minister's questions. Let the front benches change over.